Line's good.
Never on!
Whoa.
Hard! Release!
Come on, Brent. Line's good. Got real close. The hair high, right? Try and hit 2/3.
Have they saved it for her? Yes, they have.
Ooh, welcome to Game of Stones, everybody. I am Sean Graham, Scott, alongside, as always, hello, Scott.
Sean, good evening.
How are you?
Morning, afternoon, night. I'm a little confused, I guess. I don't know exactly where it is, when I am. I'm excited for today, Sean. This is one, our father sent us this.
Yeah.
Like 3 years ago. Sorry, Dad.
Well, we needed to wait until Movie May.
Exactly.
To get at it. So, so this is going to be the kickoff of Movie May. We've talked about it in the shows leading up to this one, but for the month of May, we are going to review a different curling movie or media product each week, and we're kicking it off this week with The Roaring Game.
Ooh, I like the way you said that. The Roaring Game. This is a National Film Board film, Sean?
No, it is not actually. It feels very National Film Board like, but it is not National Film Board. Scott, this is made as part of the Canadian Cameo series, and this was done by a production company as part of this push in the 1930s to get more Canadian content out there. It's sort of a news wire service kind of thing. So very not similar to what the National Film Board ends up doing, but this is pre-National Film Board, and it's intended to be shown in movie theaters before a feature film. So it's a series that was pitched by Gordon Sparling, who is the director of this particular feature.
Okay.
And Mr. Sparling was 52 at the time of this particular film, but he had originally proposed this series earlier in the 1930s, and there was a bunch that were created. And Mr. Sparling is known for, Scott, let's see how many of these you know.
Okay.
Rhapsody in Two Languages.
I've heard of it.
The Tidy House.
No.
The Kinsman.
Can't say as I've heard.
And he was also did a short called Pleasure Island, which was essentially a promotional film for the Big Win Inn on Big Win Island. And that was done in 1936.
Where's Big Win Island?
It's where you go when you want to win big.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't look that up. I'm going to guess BC. Don't know that, but that's my guess.
Do you think it's still called that? Big Win Island?
I hope so, because if not, it means they lost pretty hard.
Oh, Big Win Island is an island in the municipality of Lake of Bays, District Municipality of Muskoka in Central Ontario.
Okay. There you go.
The largest island on Lake of Bays.
Nice. And a nice brewing company as well, Lake of Bays.
Yeah, they have a Team Homan beer.
Yeah. The non-alcoholic one. Or is there also not? There is a Team Homan non-alcoholic one. I don't know. Do they have an alcoholic one too?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't it at the curling club this year?
The non-alcoholic one.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. In Lake of Bays. So I was wrong on that one. So the Cameo series, as I said, these were intended to talk about Canadian life. And according to the way they were promoted, there were no axes to grind, no messages to hammer home, just good entertainment with Canadian flavor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a fun thing, Scott, because the series originated in the 1930s, they were actually the first theatrical films produced in Canada by a Canadian company with sound.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So bit of a historic feature here.
So you said, Sean, the first one was 32?
Yeah. I think that,
yeah.
I don't know if that's what I said, but that sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the one that we're watching today, The Roaring Game.
It's a much more modern one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 52,
yes.
1952, right?
Yes.
That's I had to do my Roman numeral conversion while watching. It was like, what does this mean? But MCMLII
Yeah.
52.
Yeah, and it's made in partnership with Associated Screen Studios in Montreal, Quebec.
Wow.
Yeah. One other note here, Scott, about Sparling, Gordon Sparling, the director. So he starts doing the Canadian cameos. It's his idea. He gets it going. And then in 1939, there was, an event that had started, and he went in and he was part of the Canadian Army Film and Photo Unit throughout the Second World War. And then afterwards, he came back and continued doing these Canadian cameos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So a Second World War vet, and some of those Canadian Army, the Film and Photo Unit, obviously not like frontline units and not a fighting unit, but they had to get pretty close to the front line sometimes. Not exactly a safe gig in the war.
No, exactly. It doesn't exist anymore, right?
No, we do have artists that sort of deploy and do stuff now, but as a unit, no, I don't believe so.
Okay. And there's image techs that
yes
deploy and take photos and videos and stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't believe it's its own thing anymore.
Okay.
All right, so let's get into The Roaring Game. Again, from 1952, directed by Gordon Sparling. Technical advisor, Ken Watson. We'll talk about Mr. Watson in a minute. So Scott, this opens up in a curling club, and there's the voiceover man, classic sort of 30s, 40s, 50s voiceover man, who's going to give us some absolute just stormers here of lines throughout the course of this film. And he starts by talking about curling. The first thing I noticed is the first rock that's coming down the ice. You have two sweepers, and they have not even like the corn brooms, like sort of a household straw broom is what they're using. It was what they used in the 50s. One of the sweepers takes a tumble.
Yeah. But I think this was probably pretty common because he rolled over and out of the way.
Yep.
Like a pro, this isn't my first tumble. I know how to get out of the way, making sure that the other sweepers don't trip and fall, and we burn the rock. So great job, great technique demonstrated there.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, you're trying to talk about how great the sport is, and you get into how great the players are, and the first thing you see is one of them falling down. I'm like, wait a minute,
well, maybe it's an effort to be more relatable.
Yeah, it is relatable for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, I took a bunch of my colleagues to curl and back in March, and there were some tumbles. Nobody got hurt, but there were tumbles.
Did everybody emerge with a greater appreciation for you and what you do on the curling rink?
I don't think so. No.
Oh,
no. Shoot! They just had fun. Everyone seemed to have fun.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. All right, Scott. During this voiceover, where it's getting a background of the sport, says that players are like scientists, and as the rock is going down the ice, it's like poetry in motion. And as I heard that, I thought to myself, wait a minute, poetry in motion. Where have I heard that before? And then I thought, oh yes, it's 42 pounds of polished granite, beveled on the belly, and a handle a human being can hold. And it may have no practical purpose in itself, but it is a repository of human possibility. And if it's handled just right, it will exact a kind of poetry. So did Paul Gross rip off The Roaring Game?
I think so. I think that's what we can imagine. Yeah, beautiful, Sean. And how did you remember that whole speech? That was really great.
Yeah, right off the top of the head. Did not look it
off
up.
The dome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was kind of fun. He also says that there's the dance of the sweepers.
I also wrote down the dance of the sweepers.
Yeah, how would you describe the dance of the sweepers?
Well, it was interesting because they also said like using a slow motion camera, we can capture the sweeping technique, and it was pretty cool. It looked about half speed, which I think was like a pretty cool technological breakthrough in 1952 to have this kind of camera work. But it was like the two sweepers obviously are on the same side of the rock.
Right.
I don't think they need to be. It's just because whatever hand you are.
Well, they're sliding though. Like you can't slide. Like you have to have the slide foot be the one that's facing the skip when you're sweeping that way. Like you can do like Ben Hebert can do it now, where his slide foot's facing the thrower and be okay. Yeah. But with that motion, I don't think he can.
No, I think you're right. So they're both on the same side and are both sweeping at the exact same time and stepping at the exact same time.
Yeah.
So it did look like a choreographed dance. I liked it.
Yeah, it was very impressive for sure. All right, Scott. Then we get introduced to Ken Watson, and we'll talk about Ken Watson in a bit when we get to the game. But it mentions that Ken Watson has won the Blue Ribbon Award, which goes to the best team in the country, the team that wins the national championship. I have never heard of the Blue Ribbon Award. Had you?
No, I took it as it was the Blue Ribbon Award is the Brier. So like by winning the Canadian champion, it's the Blue Ribbon Award of curling.
Okay. Is that a saying? Blue Ribbon Award? Is that a saying that I'm just not familiar with?
I think people watching the film in 1952 would be more familiar, but it would be, like the blue ribbon pie at the fair, right? That kind of thing.
Okay.
The blue ribbon cow at that wins the prize for the best cow.
Is that where like a blue plate dinner comes from? Because it's the best?
It's a good question. Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Not the best.
Didn't win a blue ribbon, actually. I went to their tour once and I forget. But they didn't win a blue ribbon because they were like, can anyone guess what award they win? And everyone goes, a blue ribbon. And he goes, no, they won a gold medal. You're all dumb. But I think a blue ribbon something is pretty well understood to be the pinnacle.
Okay. And then it talks about how Ken Watson, he invented the long slide, sort of kicking out of the hack. Yeah. And here's the first of the quotes, direct quotes I wrote down, Scott. He I'll just say it. The voiceover man says he removes his rubber for a longer slide. I would not recommend putting that into your Google.
Yeah, but it got the point across. I understood.
Yeah, but in a different context.
Of course.
Just, And
it looked like, it didn't look to me like there was any slider on their feet. It was just their leather shoes.
Yeah, I think it's just wearing loafers, really.
Wearing those slick-soled leather shoes.
Yeah.
Is what gives you the ability to slide on the ice.
Yeah,
the rubber is actually the stopper, and that's the extra thing.
Yeah. When I was in Regina in 2007 to 2009, there was an older guy who was in his 80s at that point. He still played in those type of shoes. Like he didn't wear a slider, and he didn't really wear grippers either. And I was always scared that he was going to fall, but I was told he's a mountain goat. He's fine.
He's fine.
All right. And he never did fall. He never did fall.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, he's wearing, a leather sort of loafer type shoe to slide out. And then we see the intern, which is described as going from east to west.
Yeah. I guess if you're looking at the thrower, and east is your right, their left.
Mm-hmm. Then it does.
Yeah, but I the sheet might be oriented east to west, and then in which case it would go south to north.
That's true.
Or north to south, depending which way which end you're throwing at.
Yeah. Like, has anybody other than voiceover man ever described the intern as going from east to west?
No one has ever done that.
And then he says that the outturn goes the other direction. And then he says, but it gets there just the same. Scott, the two Roxy throws, are on different sides of the center line and on different sides of the T line. So
Wildly
they did not
different.
get there just the same.
And they took very different paths.
Yeah. Like, what is he talking about? Is this like an old radio guy who has forgotten that we can
That
actually
people can
see what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, what is it in, this is bad of me. Major League,
Uh-huh.
where Bob Uecker is describing the
Oh yeah, just a
The
bit
game.
outside. I don't know how they're laying off these pitches. Yeah.
Yeah. Something similar happening here.
Yeah. And then we see, so this is really at its core, just, it's not really an instructional movie, but it's sort of just to describe to people who've never seen curling before in 10 minutes what it's about. So we see Ken Watson throw, and this is classic like 50s era stuff because he's got the broom in the air, right? He's sort of
Yeah.
like, it's like sort of a surfer motion where he's got
Yeah.
holding the rock and the other one is the broom's up in the air. Very different from what you get today.
Yeah. Right now, like eventually when he throws it, he doesn't always keep the broom up in the air. Like he'll bring it down
As he lets go of the rock.
as he lets go of the rock but I gotta believe he's on the rock a bit, like helping him. But yeah, it's very different and always a lift too.
Always a lift. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that ice was, I think, pretty slow back in the day. So you needed the
I
extra
think so.
momentum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. And then,
We get to see them pebbling.
oh,
Sean.
yes, we see the pebble. Scott, describe how this gentleman is pebbling the ice.
I wrote in my notes, I called it a pebbling bell.
Okay.
It looks like a hand bell
Yeah.
where he's got a bucket of water and he kind of like scoops up some water and like shakes it around so that little drops go everywhere. They're very not uniform.
No.
There's a lot of big splotches. But you had to get the ice pebbled in some way so that the rock would get down there.
Yeah, that's true. I would describe it. It almost looked to me like a one-handed, when you go to like a bar and they mix the cocktails, it was like doing that motion, but with one hand, like over his head, and he was over his head. Like,
yeah, sort of shaking it. And
yeah, but yeah, definitely not how you do it today.
Even when I started doing ice, we had a can that we'd put on our shoulder. Right. And a hose, and then and now everybody's got these backpacks.
Yeah, the backpacks. Yeah, much safer.
Yeah, much safer.
Yeah, except for when you have to put the rubber thing on the hack. So
yeah, then once you got water on your back, it's not.
Yeah, then it's not particularly safe. So friendly reminder: when your game is over, put the rubber thing back over the hack.
Yeah, or don't. Whatever. Like,
all right.
It doesn't really freeze. It's fine.
And then we go over to Scotland. Scott, we see the origins of curling that for hundreds of years was played on Scottish ponds, and they have footage of curling on the pond. I don't know if you noticed this, Scott, but they're sweeping the way like modern people sweep. They're not using. Yeah, they're using a push broom or push motion. Like,
yeah.
How? Where? Why? What? How did this come about? Like, where was this footage from?
It's unknown and unknowable.
Do you think it's actually Scotland?
Yeah, I think it's actually Scotland.
Okay.
I was just looking on my phone here. I went to Scotland and went to a curling pond.
Ooh.
But it was the summer.
Oh, so that's not.
Can you see that?
Yeah, that's looks like a beautiful pond. A lot of greenery.
Yeah,
doesn't look really like a place you'd go curling.
Yeah, but it was called the curling pond. Like,
interesting.
It said, we were doing like a little walk, and got to the curling pond, got to walk around it, and then I was like, I should probably come back in the winter.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it still freezes because Scotland is a little more temperate.
It is.
Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, I just noted, it just stuck out to me that there is the push sweeping.
Yeah. I don't know how they figured it out.
All right. And then we go to Isla Craig. Isla?
Elsa.
Elsa. I should have written
Elsa
it that way.
Craig.
Then we go to Elsa Craig, where we see the folks making the curling rocks. At the time, the only place that would produce curling rocks. Scott, they said they produce 2,000 pairs of curling stones a year. And I couldn't decide if that's a lot and like more than I would have thought or less than I would have thought.
Well, I also wonder why they decided they need to count them in pairs.
That's a good point. Shouldn't they be in sets? Like sets of 8?
Was it the case back in the day that you would bring your pair of curling rocks, like the 2 that you threw?
Like bowling
You would
ball,
bring
like
with you?
how people do with bowling balls.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe.
I don't know, but 2,000 a year.
That's 4,000 stones.
4,000 stones. Let's say you need 20 to be a set, so you've got some spares for a sheet. So in 1,000 you'd have 50 sets?
Yeah.
So 200 sets of rocks.
Yeah.
You could say that instead of 2,000 pairs.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Would that seem like a lot to you?
It did seem like a lot because they were all made by hand, right?
Yeah.
And you got to quarry them out. How many people are working on this?
Yeah. And no one's living on the
line.
island. Like it's not a 24-hour operation, presumably.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody lives there. They got to quarry it, bring it over, get it ground down, Yeah, it's a lot of work. Pretty cool. And then once everybody has stones, how many do you need?
Yeah.
Like how often are they wearing out and needing replacing, that kind of stuff?
It's a question for Kim Tuck.
One day we'll get her.
Yeah. Yeah. It's on the list.
It's been on the list for
a while. Yeah. All right. So after we visit Elsa Craig, we come back to Canada and
it's my favorite part.
This is great, Scott. I go for it. You describe what is happening once we get back to Canada.
Sean, curling is not just for the men.
What?
Women have taken their brooms from the kitchen to the curling rink.
Yeah, this is what?
That was funny.
Yeah, so the full quote, as you say, it's women have taken their brooms from the kitchen to the curling rink and have developed a style second to none.
Yeah. They also said that they are not handicapped by the lack of masculine strength.
Yes. Yeah. But my favorite part of that line too is curling is the one sport where the female species is not handicapped. Like,
I think he said female of the species.
Okay. Still.
But still, yeah.
Yeah. This is incredible that the way they describe the women playing. You do see the women playing this. They're all wearing pantsuits as well.
Yeah.
Which like the men in the movie are wearing like the classic curling sweaters and all the women are wearing pantsuits and the jackets have like flowers on the lapels. I'm curious if that was actually the style of women curling at the time. It really did stand out to me that that's what they're all wearing.
Yeah, could have been. Yeah.
Yeah. So women can play. And we say it in a very like misogynistic way, but women can play.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And then we'll find out
and then we move
how good women are over the course of the next 50, 60, 70 years.
Yeah. There you go. And then we see as the women play, there's a measure. So we have to measure the stone. You can't always tell which is closer. So we get the official out. They say if you put you hold your broom up and the official will come.
Yeah.
That seems nice.
That would be nice, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, the official has a pretty convenient little measuring device that he can carry around with him.
Yeah.
So it would be easy to just be like, oh yeah, I'll come over with my little tape measure.
Yeah,
it was basically a tape measure.
it's a tape measure that it has like a plug thing that goes into the pin, and then you just measure the rocks, like actually measure them. It seems better than the big device we use now, because you can just, it's right there. You get an actual measurement. Like, doesn't seem that complicated.
No, it doesn't. And for that reason, I think we bring it back.
Yeah. So I really like that. I did notice, Scott, that you, as the official goes down, puts his head right over the pin.
Oh yeah.
Like right over. We don't have an overhead shot yet, but right over the pin. Like, this has been a problem for 70 plus years.
We just can't seem to kick it.
Yeah.
Everyone's urge to be right over that.
Yeah. And then, Scott, we head west. We go to Regina, and we see the Jam Tin League. Now, I always heard of it referred to as Jam Can as opposed to Jam Tin.
Yeah.
But he calls it Jam Tin.
We'll need to ask Dean.
Yeah, get Dean on the scene on this. So how this works is that you took your jam cans, which is quite literally the can or the tin that your jam came in. And when you finish the jam, you kind of flatten out the bottom a bit with a baseball bat. And Scott, only with a baseball bat. You can use no other device according to this film. Baseball bats only. And then you put some cement into the can, and then on the ice, that's your rock now, and it's 6 pounds.
I don't know why the bottom needs to be rounded, Sean. Do you?
Well, the curling stone is beveled, but they're doing it the opposite way. It's true.
The opposite way. Yeah. So
maybe because the edge, if the edge of the can is too sharp, it would just dig in potentially. So you need some space.
Yeah, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Like it seemed weird to me that like everybody's got this pit of sand where you can just like hammer the bottom out with a baseball bat. Like, this is the most normal thing we've done.
Right. Yeah. And then everyone has cement too. Just got some cement lying around.
Yeah, some that Quikrete or something. Yeah. Very, very strange. Sean, what I wrote in my notes is that, wow, there was nothing to do in the 1950s, like, at all.
Yeah. But Scott, even when it's minus 40 out, the kids run from class to play the jam can.
I mean, yeah, because class is worse.
Yeah, it's true.
Who wants to learn about mathematics when you can chuck some cans down the ice?
But that is math.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. So we see that. And then after we talk about how like the kids love this, it's great activity, I didn't really understand this because it seemed to me, because he talks about everyone, like the homemade trophy is a great thing. It seemed like it was like a bring your own trophy contest.
Yeah, I think so.
Like they're all like,
that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, they're all walking in with these trophies and then put him on the table in front of this guy who seems to be judging the trophies.
Like, who's got the winner for the best trophy gets another trophy.
Like, what is this? Like I'm sure there were a lot of homemade trophies that were circulated, but why are all the kids being forced to make a homemade trophy for this?
It's for the video, Sean.
Right.
They need to get their point across of how.
What's the point?
I don't even know. Like, were they all curling trophies?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
It was very strange.
Trophies are silly.
All right. And then we head back inside to the curling club and we meet Pancho. Yeah.
He's only 90 pounds, but throws the full 42-pound rock.
Yeah.
Even if the rock might throw him.
Yeah. And Pancho has no slide from the hack right onto his knees to get the rock down the ice.
No slide at all. He's really just heaving the rock.
Yeah, as hard as he can.
Well, I mean, he has to. He only weighs 90 pounds.
90 pounds. It's true. Yeah. Scott, the other thing we note, or I should have noted too, is that when the kids are playing, it's noted that, well, there might not be enough brooms for everybody. So Sometimes we have to throw the brooms, and somewhere a young Pat Simmons takes notes.
Ah, nice. Yeah, you throw it to your teammate,
Yeah.
and so your teammate can sweep. It did say share the brooms.
Yes.
Good to know.
Yeah. I don't know how that's more effective than walking with the thing and just sweeping in front of it, having one person do that. Like, it's nice to share. Sharing's important, but what?
Well, I don't know if you noticed, there was 20 sheets at play in that Jam Tin League.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't a lot of room for everybody to be walking.
That's true. It's true.
And they were small sheets, right? It's not a full
No.
regulation sheet.
Yeah. So we do that. And then, Scott, it's time for the pros. Now it's all right. We've had our fun. We've introduced the sport. Now it's down to brass tacks. Oh, what have I missed?
It did say there were more schoolboys curling.
Yes.
Than playing the national game of hockey.
That's true. But that's only if you include JamCan, I would think.
Yeah, well, what else are you going to play? They're too small.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like Little Rocks, the precursor to Little Rocks.
Yeah. Yeah, and later it also says that more people play golf, or more people curl than play golf.
Yep.
We also have that too. So they're really laying it on here that curling is popular. Which is one of these things that, like, if something is so popular, why are you telling me that it's so popular? Like, shouldn't we just know?
100% my same same thing.
Like,
really?
Thou doth protest too much.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. And now, Scott, it's time for your main event. Ken Watson is going to play Jimmy Welsh here. Ken Watson, the technical advisor on the film, we saw him earlier. He invented the long slide. He won the Brier in 1936, 1942, and 1949. Total of 32 major Bonspiels on his on his resume, on his shelf. And he is a National Historic Person designated within the last 10 years because of this innovation of the slide. And Jimmy Welsh won the Brier in 1947. He also won the silver in 1937 and a bronze in 1933. And we see them play. It's noted that the West Coast, or the Western players, come up with the long slide and play a different style than what Jimmy Welsh did, even though Jimmy Welsh is from Manitoba, Scottish, but played out of Manitoba. So what are they counting as, like, the West? Like,
well, maybe he learned curling in Scotland where they wouldn't have done the long slide.
Yeah, maybe. Because he definitely wasn't tucking.
No, definitely not tucking. So they hadn't developed the tuck yet.
No.
So, and then the Eastern players, would just throw from the hack without sliding.
Yeah. So we see this game. Somebody on Jimmy Welsh's team makes like a double takeout, and Jimmy Welsh has just the most, like, greatest generation reaction to it, right? Like the stereotype of that generation of being somewhat muted in their joy at times. Jimmy, like, he could not have looked more disinterested in the fact that this double takeout was made.
The best part, Sean, is that the narrator says the skip shows hearty approval, and he did like a one wave, like
but like half-hearted. Of like,
sort of like
you
that.
Like, it's kind of like the Chris Rock bit, like it's what you were supposed to do. Like,
what it was like, sort of like he's like waving away a bug or something
that
was bothering him. Like, just great.
Yeah, and so we see the back and forth of this game, Scott. The one thing that I really noticed, that it's not a truly authentic game because nobody has a dart hanging out of their mouth. Like, what is this?
Yeah, I noticed that too. It was very strange, but they're probably trying to promote it as a fun activity for young people, and maybe back then they would even say like, "Hey, don't smoke, kids." But
it seems pretty early for that. I think this is still in the era of my doctor smokes Camels.
Yeah. But so we don't see any of that.
No.
We do see, what I noticed, Sean, it's a lot of big weight.
Heavy. Yeah. A lot of heavy weight.
You kind of have to throw it as hard as you can. And everyone's playing back to rocks that are in the back of the house.
Yeah.
Not the optimal style for 2025.
No, and what I was sort of curious about, like if everyone's whipping it and all we see are hits, how did the Rocks get there in the first place? Like nobody's extolling the value of a draw.
No, there were a couple guards out there, but
Misses.
I think
Those are the misses.
even the draws they were playing were kind of like taps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw there was a really nice sort of tap from back 4 to the back 8, and it was nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Did we get a winner in this game, Scott?
You know what? I didn't write it down.
No, because I don't think
we
they gave us a winner.
No.
No.
Sean, we all win for having curled against each other.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
But it was the main event between these two champions. Someone's gonna
Well, maybe nobody could decide which of them should win.
Yeah.
Or they just kept playing a tie. I think at the end, Ken Watson scored the point in that end.
He did.
So I think we're supposed to believe that that's the winning point.
Okay. All right.
You buy that?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, Ken Watson won more than Jimmy Welsh in terms of Briars, so.
And he was a consulting producer, right?
Yeah. So if there was, a fight on set between Jimmy Welsh and I'm not
losing to this guy.
If you go in wrestling parlance, I'm not putting you over. Then you got Ken Watson just pulling his creative control.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and then we go to the wrap up of the movie where we see what I think, Scott, is supposed to be the players with members of the military. I think it's a Highland regiment is what it looks like to me, is piping them, and the band is leading them. It could just be a Scottish band, but they look like a Highlander regiment to me, leading the curlers. And I'm assuming this is like a parade to the Briar, like an opening of the Briar sort of festivity here.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me too. The problem is, wasn't the weather like, it didn't look like winter outside.
No, it looked beautiful.
Yeah, so maybe it was like a Highland Games type parade, something like that.
Yeah, could be.
But yeah, I mean, parades and piping is a big part of curling, so I'm glad that this was in the film.
Yeah, actually, when I brought my colleagues curling, because I have a member of the Cameron Highland, or members of the Cameron Highlanders of Ottawa, one of whom is the piper, I had us piped on and off the ice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. So that's where we learned that more people curl than play golf, and that curling is this great Canadian sport, and that for every 100 curlers in Scotland, there are thousands of curlers in Canada. So take that, Scotland.
Yeah, take that, Scotland. What was the population of Canada and Scotland in 1952?
Canada's, I would guess, around 10 at that point. Scotland, I have no idea.
Let me look.
And 10 million, I should say, not like 10 people. It's not Ken Watson, Jimmy Welsh, and their families, and that's it. But I would guess around 10 million, because maybe more. It was 8. I think it was 8 million at the First World War. So I don't know how quickly the population expanded after that, especially during the Depression. But
yeah, so like Scotland today has 5.5 million, I think.
Okay.
So it's quite small. Demographics of Scotland. Population change over time. Here we go. Oh, it doesn't say anything.
Oh.
Okay, here we go. 1950.
Yeah.
5.1 million.
Okay.
2023, 5.4 million.
So that's not that many. And like Canada right now is about 40 million. And what I'm seeing here is in the 1950s, it's about 13.5 million at the start of the decade.
Okay.
So
there's, we would have had 3 times, give or take, as many people.
Yeah. So we should have more curlers.
So yeah, but like not a 10-to-1 ratio.
Right. So take that, Canada.
But we do have like a lot of farmers that didn't have anything else to do in the winter. So
right. So there you go.
Kind of makes sense.
And that sees us out, Scott. That this is a great sport. We love it. It's very Canadian.
Yeah, it's really fun little vignette on curling.
Yeah.
I think if you played this before a showing of Men with Brooms,
Yeah.
it could be like a cool little lead in.
Yeah. But then you get to the Paul Gross speech and everyone would be like, wait a minute.
Well,
Wait a
that's
minute.
true. That's true. But then you could also sandwich that, like put Del Close singing the national anthem as part of the Corner Gas movie.
Del Barber.
you know.
Yeah.
Oh, Del Barber.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Close.
Del Close. That's he's a improv guy.
Ah.
I've been thinking about improv. So yeah. I think this is really fun.
Yeah.
This was a good 10 minutes of my time.
Yeah, I agree. It's certainly worth a watch. It's available on the Library and Archives Canada YouTube page, and I'll put a link to that down in the show notes. Scott, if you had to rank this out of 10, what would you give The Roaring Game?
I think I'd give it like a 7. The little dip in the middle with the jam can and the homemade trophies.
Yeah,
we could
do without
we
that.
could cut that out.
Yeah,
but overall, I think it's important to know about the Jam Can League and to know why they do it that way. But I don't think it answered that question. It's just like a good piece of curling history.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think that if you're going to watch it, be prepared for the hashtag feminism in the middle of it. Just be aware that that's coming at you. But, you know, I guess product of its time and all that. Not that that's necessarily, you know, get my historian brain when you talk on his product of the time and what all that means and the ramifications. But anyway, it's very fun to go through and to watch it. It doesn't have the continuity errors that are so common in curling things, even those National Film Board ones that we did a few years ago, where like the person throws an out turn and then you see in the house and it's an in turn sort of thing. It was actually pretty good on the rocks. Like I didn't notice any glaring continuity things, so that gets some points for me. I love that Ken Watson was on it and was featured in it, and as part of the Canadian Cameo series, I think it does its job really well. So I think, you know, with the caveats of, you know, outdated and sexist language, if, you know, set that aside in terms of the overall understanding of it, well, yeah, 7.5, 8 on 10.
Yeah. One thing I wish, Sean, it's in black and white.
Sure.
And so I couldn't tell whose rocks were whose.
Yeah.
In the game pieces. So I was like, I guess that's good.
Right.
I don't know. Looks like you got 1. Maybe you got 4.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that's true. Yeah, you can't tell it all. How? Yeah. Who's who?
No.
Yeah.
So,
and even at that too, like those old stones, even when they are in color, because like it's the whole thing isn't the color. It's just like a little strip on the handle sometimes.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's not great.
Tough to tell, but you know, we've fixed that.
Yeah.
In modern times,
we've come a long way, baby.
Oh yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
And we've managed to talk about a 10-minute movie for 45 minutes.
Love it. Yeah. So there you go. That is our review of The Roaring Game as we kick off Movie May here on the podcast. Hope you enjoyed that. As I said, I'll link down below if you want to watch this and take a look, and you can let us know what you think about it. And if you like this, which I hope you did, because we're doing it all month. So Movie May is off and running. So please do subscribe to get the rest of the month and all of our episodes if you have not yet. Wherever you get your podcast, like, rate, comment, do all that good stuff. Helps other people find the show, keeps us growing. Head on over to GameStonesPod.com. Past episodes are there under the podcast tab. Link to the merch as well. And I will embed the video from the Library and Archives Canada page onto the blog page as well. So you can check out the video there if you're so inclined. We are also on the socials at Game of Stones Pod, Game of Stones Podcast on Facebook. And if you want to let me know what you want to hear on the show, Game of Stones Podcast at gmail.com. All right, Scott, here we are. Month of May is off and running. Spring is fully here. I mean, spring exists in April, but I feel like May is like the peak spring, at least until the long weekend. So what are you looking forward to here now that we're in the spring?
Well, Sean, softball's starting.
Yeah.
And I always like going to softball, socking some dingers.
Sure. Yeah.
Nothing beats that. I'm also looking forward to these longer days. It's been about 2 months that the clocks moved forward and we're getting later and later sunsets.
Yeah.
So that's nice, getting a little extra twilight time in.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to go about and do stuff is always fun. But that's like really what I'm looking forward to. How about you?
Well, here in Ottawa, we have the tulips. I really like the
The
tulips.
Yeah.
So yeah, the tulip festival. But even just on my walk home, there's a couple places where it's just, I don't want to say wild tulips because maybe somebody takes care of them, but just tulips pop up sort of out of nowhere. So I really do like the tulips at this time of year, and it's quite nice. And I'm still happy about the warm before I start to complain about it in July and August when it's too hot and muggy and gross.
So it's nice to have that like a cool evening.
Yeah,
shorts and hoodies.
Shorts and hoodies. That's it. I love that. That's my favorite attire: shorts and hoodies. So hopefully y'all are enjoying your spring wherever you are out there, and we do appreciate you joining us for the first of what I say is going to be a fun month of Movie May. So until we join you again next week, keep those brooms on the ice and don't dump that intern.
Make the final.